We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, ORRA the Informationalist.
Just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like ORRA, the Informationalist.
How you doing? How you doing?
Peace and greetings, brothers and sisters. This is ORRA the Informationalist, and you're now tuned in to a live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. And we're here on Faith Over Fear Friday. Yes, and I got my co-host for today is going to be Brother Ahban from the BOCC. And we are going to put in some work today in letting you know about the Legacy of Lies here. And this is another Legacy of Lies series. And we got some things coming up in regards to all of the madness that's going on in the world today, especially here in the United Shenanigans of America. So today's episode is episode 57 of season 5. And this is called Their Purpose for Pollution. Why did I name it that? Because as you may know, or some of you may not know, there's numerous incidences and accidents or alleged accidents of chemical waste that is spilling and manufacturing sites and centers for different types of plastics, chemicals, trains being derailed, and all of this toxic chemicals that are going up into the air, spilling into the water and just polluting the land all across America. And it seems to be happening very synchronistically for a reason, because as you brothers and sisters know, that there is no such thing as coincidence, only the illusion of it. And I have a couple of things that I've been piecing together and have created a theory that I want to share with you today in regards to why this pollution is even happening on such a continuous basis right now in the year of 2023. And we're going to get into that because if you remember, Bill Gates, also known as Gates, talked about the new pandemic and how it was going to be related to bioterrorism. And we're going to present the bioterroristic ways of the United Shenanigans of America when it comes to all of this chemical waste that's spilling and, filling the air with toxic fumes that is killing animals and people and affecting people's health in numerous ways. So why don't we get this show started right and get this show started quickly, and I'm going to bring Brother Ahban on in just a moment. Let's go.
You You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness. To the Network of Awareness. To the Network of Awareness.
America, America.
Hey, Brother Ahban, welcome to the show. Shalom, brother. Most High Christ bless you. And all praises to the Father, Heavenly Father, Yahweh Elohim. And welcome to the show, brother. Glad to have you on today.
Hey, shalom, brother. Most High Christ bless you and bless everybody within earshot of this broadcast. All praises to the Most High through Christ. Happy to be here. And in the words of the Claymation Mills Lane from Celebrity Deathmatch, let's get it on.
Yes, let's do it, because this episode right here, I didn't put a description yet because I'm going to put one on the back end. But we're going to get it popping on this one, man, because this right here, this is serving a purpose for these demons. All right, the principalities are working overtime. And this train derailment in Ohio, which we're going to discuss, is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's get into it real quick. I'm going to pull up some social media stuff here. And I'm going to pull up my save post here, because this is where it's located. And let's see. The very first one is this one right here. So this is a live broadcast where it says, breaking news, massive 5-acre fire has broken out at a warehouse storing plastic plant pots in Kissimmee, Florida. Hazmat teams are monitoring air quality due to the amount of smoke coming from the burning plastics. So now we got a situation here in Florida. Okay, residents with breathing issues should remain indoors. Okay, like if that's going to help. So that's the latest, greatest propaganda news. And basically this thing that we're starting to see with this purpose for their pollution to setting things up. Now, the one that has been gaining a lot of traction, which I'm going to cover here in just a moment. The one that's gaining a lot of traction is, it says East Palestine train derailment, burning, chemical burn, traumatizing. All right, so I'm going to read that real quick. All right, so this is a video. It's catastrophic. East Palestine train derailment, chemical burning, traumatizing. All right, now it says, I'm not going to play the video because this is only an audio broadcast. I didn't feel like doing no videos today. So if you want to, I'm going to put in on the back end, on the description box, brothers and sisters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each and every post that I'm talking about here that has video to this, and I'm going to place it inside the chat room for a hyperlink so that you brothers can click on it and sisters. It says, life is far from back to normal for Chiowans, who lives near the site of last week's Norfolk Southern train derailment and chemical burn. It says, Emily Wright describes what East Palestine area residents impacted by the disaster have experienced in the video above. Opinion, bomb train derailed. We are suffering pain of the hit. Cali Biden, Governor DeWine. Whatever. Cal Biden, Governor DeWine, whatever that means. Her guest column about the disaster appeared on dispatch.com. In it, she asked Governor Mike DeWine to seek federal help for the Biden administration to assist the area. Thursday, the Dispatch opinion editor, Amelia Robertson, spoke to Wright for the video. DeWine said he spoke to the White House about the situation in East Palestine. All right. Now, that's the big news, right? Here's another article covering it. It says East Palestine, Ohio, Norfolk Southern Railroad conducted a controlled explosion after train carrying vinyl chloride. Okay. And brother, do me a favor. Can you look up vinyl chloride? And it's spelled VINYL. And of course, chloride. And then, just pull that up, see what that's about so we could talk about it. 5 out of 100 train cars were loaded with the chemical. The train derailed on Friday, and the controlled release happened at 4 p.m. on Monday as an attempt to keep the tanker cars from exploding on their own. The plane involved using small charge to blow a hole in each of the rail cars containing chemical and letting them drain into the pit that has been dug, and using flare lighting it and burning it off. An expanded evacuation zone now stretches 1 mile by 2 miles because, according to officials with Norfolk Southern, inhaling the burning chemicals could be deadly. Also, it says that they held a conversation about the chemicals and the potential harm. When asked if Rhodes could put this on scale on 1 to 10 in seriousness, quote, I mean, certainly if I lived near there or by there, this would be close to a 10 for me and my family. If I lived in that community, I would be at 10 getting out of there, protecting my family. And to all the brothers and sisters, I'd suggest you take that advice. To all my brothers and sisters that are in Ohio, if you are anywhere near the vicinity of this place, evacuate. Now, Kissimmee, Florida is about close to 4 hours, 3.5 hours, think, away from me. But this is going to be interesting about this explosion of these plastic chemicals that are now burning, and they're trying to put the fires out, so to speak. But the same thing that's happening in Ohio is now happening in Florida as well. It says, according to the environmental engineer, major impact will be felt for years to come as the chemical gets in the groundwater and dissipates to nearby wells used for drinking water. Okay? If I tried to make a scale of things, you would not want to have in a derailed, toppled over rail car that's leaking and burning. This is also near the top of the list. I can think of some worse things, but I would put it as a 7 or 8, Rhodes said. Yeah, right. Okay, here's another article I want to read real quick. Streams of fish and coop of chickens and coop of chickens and skulk of foxes are among the animals reported sicking and dying after catastrophic train derailment led to a chemical burn in Ohio. All right, that's from the Insider. Here's another one. All about Palestine and Ohio, New Palestine. White noise. How dangerous was the Ohio train derailment? Headaches and lingering chemical smells from a firing train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, have left residents worried about their air, water, and misinformation on social media hasn't helped. Of course not, right? Because every time they have some diabolical, malevolent plan to basically bring about destruction upon humans, they bring this bullshit statement into the fold saying misinformation on social media hasn't helped. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. If you want to get real information, you better continue to look to the private or to the exclusive platforms like this one right here that are providing you information and also just perspective on things. Because at this point, brothers and sisters, if you haven't figured out that Satan is working overtime, I don't know what to tell you. You're just lost in the sauce and you need to catch up, because we are living in the days of revelations, and all of these things that are happening are bringing about major destruction for a lot of things that are going to be coming in the very near future. Wow, my ears are ringing something awful right now, brother. Is there anything you want to add up to this point, brother? You want to speak on any things before we before we go on to that next thing that you sent me in regards to these hazmat suits?
Yes. You wanted me to look up vinyl chloride, and I'm here at the website cancer.gov, which is the National Cancer Institute. And right across the top, it says an official website of the United States government. Vinyl chloride. What is vinyl chloride? Vinyl chloride is a colorless gas that burns easily. It does not occur naturally and must be produced industrially for its commercial uses. Vinyl chloride is used primarily to make polyvinyl chloride, PVC, like, the PVC pipe, a hard plastic resin used to make a variety of plastic products, including pipes, wire, and cable coatings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Skipping down. Which cancers are associated with exposure to vinyl chloride? Vinyl chloride exposure is associated with an increased risk of a rare form of liver cancer, as well as a primary liver cancer, brain and lung cancers, lymphoma, and leukemia. And this page was updated November 3rd, 2022. So, yeah, there's that. And they were also talking about how I think when some of the chemicals that were there in Ohio burned, they formed phosgene, which is another dangerous chemical. And, it's a bunch of stuff going on. And it was, there's all kind of stuff coming out. Like, we just have to remember also that a lot of these train railroad employees or rail line employees, I think those were the ones that were going to go on strike over working conditions and stuff. So not really too sure about that, but I know that safety was one of their concerns, so they're reporting. But, that's only last week or 2 weeks ago. That's not today. So don't think that they were trying to warn us about any unsafe conditions. That's not the right thing to think.
Okay. Great points, brother. Interesting how all of that stuff can happen if you intake that vinyl chloride. So it's basically cancerous and amongst other things. And real quick, shalom to Brother Ash out in the UK, and peace and greetings to all the brothers out in the UK and sisters. And anybody that wants to join this live broadcast and has any questions or has anything they want to add to this discussion about their purpose for this pollution, feel free to, to put it in the chat room. So with that being said, let's read this, because we're going to cover a lot today, because I'm putting the Most High is putting it on my spirit this morning to where, and I'm going to bring it up to you in just a moment, people, about what I think this is leading to. Because what you have to understand, the way Satan works is that there's everything that Satan does is very intricate. It's very diabolical, and it has a purpose. There's steps to this. These demons work in taking different steps to lead to some greater destruction. So they might have some minor incidences, or like this, major incidences that are leading to the major incident, which is going to be this new pandemic. And we're going to talk about that because Bill Gates has been talking about this for quite some time. And this is just my alleged theory. I can't say this is fact, but once you hear what I'm going to present, I'm pretty sure it's going to make a hell of a lot of sense. Now, Brother Ahban shared this with me on Instagram. I'm going to read it. Let me lower this down here. It says, this is from @TrackInflation, Recession Confessions. He wrote, I am an executive of a hazmat suit manufacturer. I got direct orders by someone with the feds to increase production by 10 times more and run our plants nonstop. Okay, so why are the feds allegedly, right? This is all alleged, right? Because remember, they're always going to say that social media is misinformation. But for many of you, you know that many people on social media, including myself, we're presenting things that actually happen. This is all based on truth. Okay, but sometimes when we know of these things and we can't provide some type of documentation or video, people are like, well, where's the video? Where's the documentation? But then it winds up happening, and then they're like, oh, that brother was right, or that sister was right when she was talking about this. I just wanted to mention that. He says, get ready, folks. It's going to get bad. Go home, hug your wife, and tell her you love her. So this is an executive telling you that they are working around nonstop, around the clock, to produce hazmat suits. So these instances are going to continue to happen with this chemical waste going into the air throughout the country. We've already seen it in Florida. We're seeing it in Ohio. Now, let me play this video because I can actually play this one. This is a lady who's going to tell you something that happened in Michigan. Okay?
In case we're all trying to catch up, it's being reported there was a 5th train derailment in Michigan with hazardous materials. You know, what do I know? People need to start asking questions, and people need to start.
Why are you bringing that
answers.
up?
Something's going on.
We're talking about hazmat suits.
Something's going on.
Let me mention something right quick. I'm on marketwatch.com. This is a press release. Hazmat suits market exploration 2023 to 2028. Innovations, key players, data, and upcoming opportunities. The market last year was 6,000 million, and they expect it to expand to $9,700 million by 2028. And that's already from the vast increase of fentanyl appearing in our country, and people selling it, for drugs, because we're in that. What movie was that? Was that Scream, where the guy was smoking the weed and it killed him? And then I think it was Marlon Wayans or Sean Wayans. He was like, "Ooh, it killed him. I gotta try that."
Yeah,
it's just like there's so much fentanyl coming in, and if you touch it, you can die. So there was already an increase in profits forecast for hazmat suit manufacturers just off the fentanyl.
Now,
so
go ahead, brother.
I was sorry, but don't think that whenever there's a disaster or things happening in the world, that people are not or entities are not lining up to profit off of it. They'll talk about gas stations gouging and raising prices in a hurricane, but we're approaching a food shortage situation and prices are going up, but that's not price gouging. These people are lining up to make a profit off of anything they possibly can. And that's also in the book of Revelations. Go ahead, bro.
Absolutely. And if you could do me a solid and look up the Norfolk Southern Corporation, because they seem to be the culprits in these train derailments. It says nothing is leaking from the Michigan trail derailment, says regulators. Belleville, Michigan, a Norfolk Southern freight. So this is another freight, which is similar to it's not even similar. It's the same damn freight company that's got the spill in New Palestine, Ohio. It says nothing is leaking. So basically what happened in Belleville, Michigan, a Norfolk Southern freight train derailed in the Metro Detroit area on Thursday. It's not a pollution concern, says Michigan regulators. Nothing is leaking, says Jill Greenberg, spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. There is no environmental concern at the site. Authorities say approximately 30 cars were involved in the train derailment, which occurred Thursday, February 16th, just before 9 a.m. in Van Buren Township near Belleville. Aerial photos and videos from the scene show 7 to 8 cars off the tracks, with several coming to the rest perpendicular to the rail line surrounded by the disconnected wheels. According to the EGLE, one of the overturned cars carried agricultural grain and remaining were empty. One tanker car contained ferric chloride solution. Let's look up ferric chloride solution. All this chloride.
I got you.
And just a side note, brothers and sisters, that if you're just new to my broadcast, one of the things that I talked about in season 1, which was over close to almost 500 episodes ago, this is one of the reasons why I started getting censored. I talked about all the different chemicals that's in the vaccine, in the death stick, in the okie dokie pokey. They have in the okie dokie pokey, there are 5 different fertilizers, what are called salt fertilizers, and it's different types of chlorides. So potassium chloride is just one of them, but there's 5 other chlorides and genetically modified organism chloride salt fertilizers that's within the vaccine that you may not know of. Because what I did in the beginning of all this, when they were first bringing this out, I got detailed information about all the different chemicals that are within these vaccines. And it's just interesting how a lot of salt fertilizer chemical was put into the vaccine. So that's just another note that for you brothers and sisters that took it, you have 72 different toxic chemicals in your bloodstream. Just to put that out there. Now, you said you looked up the ferric chloride, right?
Yes, I did. It's interesting.
As it always is.
Yeah. This is a Wikipedia page because, I went to government websites and stuff, and it gets into a lot of chemical terms that are non-laymanific, I guess. So I'm on the Wikipedia page for it, and it's safety. Iron 3 chloride, also known as ferric chloride, is harmful, highly corrosive, and acidic. The anhydrous material is a powerful dehydrating agent. Although reports of poisoning in humans are rare until the other day, ingestion of ferric chloride can result in serious morbidity and mortality. And I'm like, what? Why would they list morbidity different? Morbidity, something morbid is of, relating to, or characteristic of disease, productive of disease. So it is something that can result in serious disease and mortality. Inappropriate labeling and storage lead to accidental swallowing or misdiagnosis. Early diagnosis is important, especially in seriously poisoned persons or patients. So it's something that, is fairly dangerous. And, what can you say?
What I can say is that there's a purpose for their pollution. Purpose for pollution.
Yeah.
And their purpose for pollution is just based on a theory I have here. So follow me here. Because brothers and sisters, listen, I'm not a prophet, all right? I can't foresee the future. But I'm going to tell you like this. And, the Most High let me know a long time ago that I was going to be a messenger. All right. And I truly believe based on what the Most High revealed to me when I was 18, that I was going to be a messenger, and revealed it to me clear as day. When I bring out this type of information, I start to put pieces of the puzzle together so that brothers and sisters could be aware that Satan is very real. And if Satan is very real, the reason why I let you know about these lies is so that you can better understand the power of the Most High. Because if Satan is real, you best believe that the Most High is real. And the Most High gave Satan the right to have dominion over this, right? And that's why Christ denied him on any advances of him saying, like, I could give you dominion over this world that I have control of. But of course, the Messiah didn't go with it. But because when I talk about this stuff, and this is one of the reasons I'm so grateful that I've met the brothers and sisters from the BOCC when it comes to spirituality and the truth and the Most High and the Messiah, is that this is all interconnected, right? So when I bring awareness on this show with my guests, by myself, whatever I do, when we're talking about this stuff, it's really to remind you that this is all spiritual warfare, but it all connects. And the Most High puts it on my spirit sometimes as a messenger to bring this out. And I just start connecting the dots. I am not a scholar. I have a vast amount of experience in a lot of different things. And I've been able to accomplish things, but I'm nothing. I'm just a vessel and a servant for the Most High. But I do have knowledge that people sleep on. But I'm going to tell you like this. When I start putting pieces of the puzzle together like this, that's the Most High working through me. That's the Most High putting on my spirit, because I don't know. I just wake up sometimes, especially when I'm fasting, and I start connecting dots because I'm not researching this stuff 24/7. I'm not obsessive about this stuff. I have other things that I have to do throughout my day. But with all that being said, I'm going to read something to you. I'm going to read a couple of things because I said to myself, Brother Ahban, and I want to hear your thoughts on this before we even start, getting into this information on regards to Bill Gates. I started putting like on my spirit, I said, what if that the reason why all of these hazmat occurrences and toxic air and derailments and chemical gas and all these chemicals spilling into the air, into the water, I said, what if this is that bioterrorism, new pandemic, that new strain of SARS-2 that Bill Gates is talking about, that's going to be this new pandemic and new respiratory disease that is now going to plague the world? And what if that the reason why they're releasing all these chemicals in the air in the United Shenanigans of America is so that it can cause major health issues with, i.e., the respiratory system, to where now when you start having people having these respiratory issues, they're going to tie it in to this new pandemic that's supposedly going to be coming. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
Well, I can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to a point where it would end up on mainstream media news, but I wouldn't be surprised if that were in the works, and I wouldn't be surprised if it started if it started a long time ago with the alchemic or chemical products put into food to lower immune resistance and mess with people's immune systems, like, preservatives and colorings and all that other stuff. This world is basically a shambles. It's a state of confusion. It looks orderly and people can be orderly and stuff, but this is a giant ball of confusion. That's what we're dealing with, chaos and confusion. and they're, it's just insane. It's so many things going on. If anybody comes out and says anything, you just can't put the stuff to rest as far as like pushing it off. You have to consider it because there's so many crazy things going on. But, the Most High has shown us that there is a way through this, but I wouldn't doubt it. I just wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, absolutely. That's why you got to keep your faith up. And it's also important that people just understand to be aware and prepared, to start being aware, because this is a time where we have to take things very seriously. So with that being said, I'm going to read an article here by VestX. All right. So this is the VestX news article. It's a private news article. And actually, I'm sorry, it's a public news article, but it's one of the offshoots of the commercial. So it says Bill Gates says next pandemic could be act of bioterrorism. Interesting. Bioterrorism. Brother, if you could do a solid and look up bioterrorism, I'd greatly appreciate it. And thank you in advance. Bill Gates has said he believes the next pandemic could be a deliberate one. You know why I laugh, bro? Because it's like, wasn't the last one deliberate? They always giving you this double talk. It's called double talk. They give you this speech where they're giving you the truth and the lie in one. And so it's like, the next one could be deliberate. What about this last one? The last one was a deliberate one. Every single pandemic since the beginning of modern Western civilization has been a planned demic. It's all deliberate. There's never been one that just happens. Everything Satan does is deliberate for destruction. Says the U.S. multi-billionaire known for co-founding Microsoft and for his global health advocacy that he has no credentials for, mind you, has spoken out of a number of times since the outbreak of COVID-19 and even warned a novel pandemic disease a few years beforehand. Gates' more recent comments were made during a trip to Spain where he told Spanish news outlets, the El Diario, what he thought the next pandemic would be like. He also said that there was a 50% chance of one naturally occurring within the next 2 decades. Oh, how convenient. Naturally occurring. Right. The human population is growing and we are invading more and more ecosystems, he said, translated from Spanish in this article. So who's invading the ecosystems? Because the only people that are invading the ecosystems is these powers that shouldn't be, these principalities that are working through evil, malevolent men and women that run these governments. That is why I calculate that there is this is Bill Gates, by the way. That's why I calculate there is a 50% chance that we will have a pandemic of natural origin in the next 20 years as a result of climate change. Gates added the next virus could be something similar or to something that we already know, such as a flu or another type of coronavirus. At the same time, Gates did not rule out the possibility that the next pandemic would be man-made and released as an act of bioterrorism. Well, that's what this all is. This all is bioterrorism, isn't it, brothers and sisters? All of it is. There's a very scary scenario because they could try to spread in different places at once. Well, what is this thing with these chemical waste derailments happening around the country? Does that sound like they're spreading in different places? So are they not spreading different chemical waste in different places as we speak right now, brother?
Well, we know the answer to that.
He says, It says, ask how to prevent this, Gates said. He's calling for a 25% increase in budget of the World Health Organization, which Bill Gates already funds 10% of it through the Melinda and Gates Foundation. So,
more communism.
Which goes towards funding teams of 3,000 people within a global epidemic response and mobilization team. No wonder they're producing so many hazmat suits. It's for those 3,000 people with the global epidemic response and mobilization teams that would always be looking for virus outbreaks. Interesting. Gates was also asked about the various conspiracy theories that has been subject since the COVID pandemic began. And brothers and sisters, you know, here on the Network of Awareness, that conspiracy is not a theory. There are just people that are conspiring. I'm going to do a song about that too, that conspiracy is not a theory. I'm probably going to get Brother Take and a couple other brothers. We're going to do something like that. Definitely got to put out a song called Conspiracy is Not a Theory. Okay, it says, some of the dubious theories claim that Gates is using pandemic as a way to inject trackable microchips into people. Most recent claims assert that Gates is somehow linked to the recent cases of monkeypox that have emerged across the world. Gates told the outlet that he had, in a way, gotten used to it by now, but described the theories are very sad. Oh, how sad for you, Billy. What happens is that if, because of these rumors, there are people who do not get vaxxed, okay, or vaccinated, or do not want to wear a mask when their what does that say? Consequences are terrible. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
He says these people who died because they find it easier to cling to the simple theory about an evil doctor rather than admit the complex fact that this is biology and this is how diseases arise. That's what he says. Of course he would say something like that. He's got to protect his boy, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing here. Bill Gates says that yet another pandemic is coming, and it will be a different pathogen this time or next time. It says in the next, it's not even March yet in 2022, right? And says it's already exhausting. Another pandemic on the way. When one word, and is it yet over? It sounds terrifying, but mega billionaire Microsoft founder Bill Gates, he says we should be getting ready for that. Gates spoke at Germany's annual Munich Security Conference on Friday and reported disease from COVID-19 have dramatically reduced, but that a future pandemic is near certainty. And he says, well, we have another pandemic, Gates told CNBC in a video of the conference, and it will be a different pathogen this time. Gates, through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, worked with UK's Wellcome Trust and donated $300 million to the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. Something on a side note, brother, you know, this man's got so much money, and it's like when you really worship Satan, you can be one of the wealthiest men in the world. This man is so wealthy that he is, check this out. I don't think a lot of people know this. This man is a nation all by himself within the United Nations. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but I wouldn't doubt it.
This is a fact. People can look this up. He is actually classified as a nation based on his wealth. So he is represented, just him, just one little frail, skinny ass nerd is considered a nation, people, that has more wealth than most countries around the world. And that's why he's considered a nation all by himself. So that's why you see a little 300 million there, 500 million here, 200 million there. I mean, he's spreading millions and millions all over the world. And let's not forget that he's already bought more than 500,000 acres plus of land throughout the United States for agricultural purposes. And that's why, if you heard when I had Brother Walter Davis on yesterday, it's like we really need to start taking the responsibility of becoming the husbandmen and being the shepherds, and really start cultivating the land that we have use of, and making the soil fertile if it's not already, and really start planting and really consuming our food, or getting it from a direct source that we know. Because to rely on the food that the enemy is providing right now, it's like a death sentence, man. It's like you're literally committing voluntary suicide to trust in this. I'm not going to bore you with no more Bill Hates commentary, because I think at this point, brothers and sisters are starting to put two and two together from what's been put out on this broadcast up to this point. And did you read the ferric chloride, by the way?
Yes, I read the ferric chloride. I got the bioterrorism definition lined up.
Okay, thank you, bro. If you want to take that and start breaking that down and let us know what bioterrorism means, and then we can go from there.
Okay, all right. And one thing real quick, Bill Gates is not a skinny little nerd anymore. He is the pregnant man emoji right now. So, and he joins a long list of people around the world and in several states, governments, and the federal government that look very unhealthy, but they are so-called ministers of health. So that's interesting. Right now I'm on the OSHA website, osha.gov/bioterrorism. And the overview states, bioterrorism is the intentional use of microorganisms to bring about ill effects or death to humans, livestock, or crops. The use of microorganisms can cause disease. The use of microorganisms to cause disease is a growing concern for public health officials and agricultural bodies. The terrorist attacks on September 11th, blah, 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 blah. They say that was the start of it, when actually they were talking about different attacks on food supplies decades before that. There are several entities that are more than 100 years old that have been making such chemicals as mustard gas and Zyklon B and stuff like that. And all of that stuff is in their history. And these things have had murderous, morbid, and mortality increasing effects on humans. And they've got a lot of experience at it. And a lot of their materials were used in wartime. So it's not just since 2001,
Doesn't surprise me. Like, there's just so much going on in the world today. And this thing with the pollution, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to transpire within the next several weeks, or for the winter season that we are still currently in. Because all of this, let's not forget that there's been an increase, all right? An increase in chemtrails. So you're seeing way more planes in the air for chemtrails polluting the air. That's why all of us are contaminated. Every single one of us. There's not one of us. Like when people say, oh, I'm healthy, I'm doing this. Okay, yeah, that's great. But you're not really healthy. None of us are. I don't care how much alkaline food I eat, how much alkaline water I take, how many times I detox my stomach, my body, the toxic metals. It's all great. I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing that. We should definitely do that. But even if we do all that on a consistent basis, we're still contaminated. We're still contaminated with the air. And now that this is happening, my theory is that this is leading to that next bioterroristic or bioterrorism that Bill Gates was talking about. And it's going to draw near, especially as we get closer to elections, because I think that when elections come this time around, especially if it winds up being where it's between Biden and Trump again, it's going to be this going to be a lot of things that are going to happen that are going to be extremely bad. It's going to be an all-out assault on our well-being. It's going to be an all-out assault on our health. It's going to be an all-out assault on our emotional well-being. Because let's just keep it real, brother. You already know. You live out in New York. You know that a lot of people emotionally, their emotional state, they can't handle this. They can't handle this shit. They can't even handle some of the basic things that happen in their life that are somewhat challenging and create some adversity. We got a lot of space cadets out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Hold on, bro. I think you're taking it too far. I have several friends that are snowflakes. So
yeah, there's a lot of emotionally unstable people in the world today. Boy, let me tell you, there's people out here that they create some of the most just crazy stuff in their heads. So when something like this really happens, what are they going to do? I mean, they have a hard time dealing with their own imaginations. What's going to happen when they deal with a reality that is right there smack in their face? They're not going to know what to do with themselves. And those are going to be the people that are going to rely on the very people that are creating the problem so they can get that reaction solution. And these people are going, like, these are the people that I can see in the FEMA concentration camps. But before any of that happens, there might be more people dying, because depending on how toxic this stuff is going to be in the air, we're just going to see a lot more death. And then put it like this. If they say that this is another pandemic and we got another form of SARS or whatever, what's going to start happening again is people are going to panic, and a lot of people are going to start going to the hospitals, and the hospitals are going to do what they did the last time, is that you're not going to leave. You're going to go there and you're going to check out there, most likely on some form of medical prescription cocktail, what I call the toxic hot cocktail, the hot one, or you are going to be put on a ventilator, and then they're going to cancel you out by making your lungs collapse, and you're going to check out that way. And then a bunch of other ways. Who knows? This thing is pretty serious, man. This thing with the pollution in the air, and the fact that you read those two different types of cancerous chlorides, that if it gets into people's lungs, if it gets into people's bloodstream, it can have major effects. And something with the animals too. The fact that they're just killing off these ecosystems with the animals, that's less food. You know, and when you just, this is why I know that the scriptures are so damn real. Like, the scriptures are so real, because you know what? We're gonna bring out a scripture in Revelations. And while we do that, let's play some music, because I'm going to look some things up with Brother Ahban here for just a moment. And Brother Ahban, let's just pull out a scripture in Revelations that's really going to bring this to light, this thing that's happening with the attack on the ecosystems. Because Revelations talks about this. I don't remember what chapter, but we'll take this brief intermission so we can pull this up and get our verses together for scriptures, so that we can bring it out real quick. Because We are in the days of revelations, man. I'm like a broken record when I say that, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's so true. I mean, it's undeniable at this point. You know, it really is, brother. It's undeniable. So let's bring out some music. And since we need to get ready for this spiritual warfare, why don't we play Brother Barnabas, Brother Julian, a.k.a. the Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer. And we're going to play Stay Patient. Stay patient, folks. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Taking my thoughts and bringing to Christ. Throwing down imaginations. I'm just trying to stay patient. Stand fast, can't wait. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Dodging demons like the Matrix. I'm just trying to go home. Swore made it that truth. So I just gotta move on. Ready for war, ready for death if it go like that. So if I die, I pray that I die for the most High God. I can't turn around, I can't look back, so it's all out war. I'm seeing the path so narrow, careful to not fall. Get up for it's too late. Sun come with a blaze for the judgment. In that day won't see where the sun went all black like sackcloth and the moon blood. This is a warning to go and repent. This is a warning to seek out the Lamb. This is the point where you go and examine. Gotta stay patient, I'm looking inside. Trust the Most High with all of my life. I love all my brothers, we suffer with Christ. When it feel like death, just know that it's life. Don't give up, Christ paid that price. Don't give up, Christ paid that price. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side. We just gotta endure. Taking my thoughts and bringing to Christ. Throwing down imaginations. I'm just trying to stay patient. Stand fast, can't wait. Yeah, we ready for war. Moving on one accord. Brethren at my side, we just gotta endure. Dodging demons like the Matrix. I'm just trying to go home. Swore made it that truth, so I just gotta move on.
Tuned in to the network of awareness.
Automate mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
Yahweh's gonna save the awakened, then take him to an ageless haven. Patient, I can't stray away, gotta keep obliterating the pavement. Still remember that day on the phone, Mark, he said, yo, don't you take your foot off the gas. Always something to give y'all praises.
We're in a dark oasis, for countless cases, a peak of faithless. I'ma need the patience to feed them chases. We seek his graces for true salvation. We keep on praising, we go on blazing these revelations. Cease to hate, no altercations. Good vibrations, we back to basics to build foundations. Y'all defeated Satan. Automate mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish. People pursuing acts of violence, third persistent act of defiance, freely forming a righteous alliance, truly against the science appliance. On a mission with wisdom and guidance, steady defeating the ignorant science, sealing convicted and non-compliant. Spiritual wars to move in
Let's
silence.
talk about what matters. Drop the vanity, folks out here losing their sanity. Kids popping off, lost in fantasies. People grieving over loss of family. The evil that be with the power, turning the people with credence to cowards, seeking to seize believers with vows. Man, even Stevie can see that it's foul.
Automate mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
oppression gone with every song. Music led by another echelon.
To get you strong, keep pressing on, long after we dead and gone.
From dusk till dawn, we're righteously armed with spiritual lessons from Yah.
We where we belong, we keep it on, the righteous with third of Zion.
Records embellished with heavenly eloquence.
Elohim's presence presently evident.
Intricate elements, infinite intelligence.
Spiritual specimens, lyrically resonant.
People's inheritance, smaller percentages.
Carefully measured and meant to be shared.
With the message projected, cemented, embedded.
The sensible question is, what will you get from it? Made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, so searching. Networking and murking. Anytime you can drop my curtain. With a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose. To lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
All right, so, brother, I don't know if you pulled up a script, but I'm going to go and read. I'm going to start off with, I'm going to read chapter 16 of Revelations, in the book of Revelations, and we're going to start off with 16, and we'll start off in verse 16. So chapter 16, verse 16, and we'll stop at 20. But we're going to break this down because it says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came into remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. Now, that's obviously the destruction of Babylon. Now, some people think, and I want to get your thoughts on this, brother. Some people think that Babylon is the United Shenanigans of America, when in actuality, Babylon is really the world. The world is Babylon these days, because the world right now is perverted in all four corners of this planet. And when I read the scripture about that the seventh angel poured his vial into the air, when these chemicals are going into the air, these are vile chemicals that are being poured into the air to bring about our destruction. Now, we are not at this stage yet, in the stage of that Revelation speaks of, but this is very similar to what we're going to experience. These are just small baby steps that's leading to Armageddon. And you can take it from here, brother. If you have another scripture that you want to bring out, because I have another one I want to reference as well when it comes to the destruction that we're slowly but surely coming to here, not only in this country but around the world.
Yes, I have a couple scriptures, and I think this would be a good time to say that we have a beast horn symbol to layman terms breakdown book that we sell for 19. I'm sorry. I usually say that sometimes. You don't need a breakdown book. You don't need to understand what the beast and the horns and the powers and the dragons, because the Bible tells you what this stuff is talking about if you obey what's in it. I want to go to Revelation 18 and read verses 1 through 4. And it says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So we have to remember this is, excuse me, this is not talking about the Babylon that was in, Media Persia, or present day Iraq or whatever. This is talking about this evil, wicked society that's today, like you just mentioned. And we have to remember that it references the first Babylon that was under the control of Nimrod, who, if you do a halfway deep dive, you'll understand that he is who Baal is modeled after, the sun god, Christmas, all of it, the holiday calendar, all of that came from the Babylon from before Egypt. And we have to remember that in Genesis 10, verse 9, it was talking about how even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, because he was a hunter of souls. He wanted to take and have control, and he wanted to be the God. He was the leader of the first one world government, so called, because he wanted to take all authority. He took the authority from the parents. He took authority from God in his mind because he wanted people to worship him, and that's why he built the tower. And the same thing is going on today. These people want to take, the representatives of this society, the controllers, the people that actually set up Mr. Pregnant Man emoji with the Kaka 74, the people that set him up. I'm not talking about Gil Bates. I'm talking about his puppeteers and the people that control them. They are the ones that are ruling this society under the auspices and control of Satan. You can watch the Illuminati conspiracy theory documentaries, or you can just go to Luke 4 when Satan tempted Christ with, listen, I'll give you power, control, and dominion over all the kingdoms of the world if you just worship me. And he was like, nope, I got to worship the Most High. So if you have power, glory, and control, and riches, and immense wealth in this world, not only do the conspiracy theory documentaries say it, but the Bible says that you're worshiping Satan. So this setup is falling. And what has it become? It's become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit. So it's a bunch of things going on. And we know how the Bible talks about their spirits created for vengeance of storms and teeth of wild beasts and stuff like that. So some of these foul spirits are being let loose with different forms. The chemical contraptions and explosions and merging of different gases and stuff like that, that has a part to play, because all of that chemistry and stuff comes from alchemy, which is supposedly a form of science that was trying to turn lead into gold, but it was actually a satanic manipulation of elements. So yeah, there's foul spirits and all stuff behind that. Then you got people pushing the merging of the sexes. All of this stuff is happening because they're trying to maintain control, because they see it slipping away from them, because it's fallen. This kingdom is fallen. All right. But check this out. Revelation 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Why? Because to get aid from the United States, you have to take on their policy. To get aid from NATO, from the UN, basically, you have to take on their policies: abortion, merging of the sexes, poisoning of the food, exportation of your resources to their coffers and their treasure chests, and the demoralizing of the people in that nation. That's their policy, you know. And all the nations have drunk of that. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Yeah, why? Because they went and committed spiritual fornication against the Most High. And instead of living right and treating the people right and caring about the people, they go and they burn away their care, so they don't really have any care or concern for the common man. You know, you have a government official show up in Ohio. Yeah, you know, everything's safe. The air is good. The water's good. You want a glass of water? No, I ain't drinking no water. Yeah, because he don't really care. They're not going to care. And that's the way it is. Revelation 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed or grown rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Yeah, so, you know, the fine food, the world-class chefs and everything, but also the market outlook on the potential increase in sales and the investment opportunity that comes from making more hazmat suits or making more masks because we expect another pandemic or even the first one. And there are people lining up. You mean to tell me that when this thing started a few years ago, all of these manufacturers just so happened to have 5 billion board feet of plexiglass just laying around in a warehouse collecting dust that they were just with? No, they had prepared for that. They had prepared and stocked up on that preemptively because they were ready. Because at every tragedy, there's an opportunity to make money. Like they say on Wall Street, when the market goes up, we make money, but we also make money when it goes down. They always make money. And all of these merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, the power of controlling and being in the know, because you are serving those people that serve Satan. But here it is, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. That's what it's talking about in chapter 16, when it said the voice came from the temple saying, it is done. And the great Babylon came in remembrance before God, because this thing is collapsing. And we're not supposed to be running out to the mountains trying to be mountain men and mountain women and all that stuff, because it's talking about the mountains and the islands are fled. What we have to do is, in the midst of all this, we have to study and desire to live right so that the Lord will protect us. That's what it's talking about, coming out of her spiritually, mentally, so that we don't partake of her sins and get to be partakers of her punishments. So as long as we don't do what they do, we'll be all right. You know, and that wisdom and that knowledge of how to do that, it tells you in Isaiah, is going to be the stability of our times and our strength of salvation. You know, so we have to get right and fear the Lord according to as it is written. That's all I have.
And just to add on to that, you're absolutely right. You know, in Revelations, when John was had this put on his spirit through the Most High. It says, just to add on to that, it says in Revelations chapter 4, verse 7, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of the waters. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his imagination. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the Lamb being Christ, the Lamb being the preeminent one, Yahweh, Yahweh Shad, Yahweh. Yahweh Elohim is no joke, people. Really isn't. A lot of people, they really think this is some Marvel Comics imagination, fluff fantasy stuff.
Yeah, fairy tale.
When it comes to scriptures. But yet, just in the past several years, the scriptures is letting you know that this stuff is actually happening, and people are getting video footage of these things and these things coming about slowly but surely. The river Euphrates is dried up, people. I mean, you can literally go see right now. There's live footage. You can go over there and see for yourself that the river Euphrates is dried up. That's not by accident. That's not just a coincidence. This has already been prophesied, people. So,
yep.
I think we covered enough. We covered enough of this, because I'm not going to bore people with just pounding and beating on this dead horse, which is what's to come and what's actually happening present time as we speak. What's happening in Florida, what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Ohio, and what's happening in other places around this country and around the world. This is just one of many things. Let's not even talk about the lobbying in Congress for all these new bills that are going to be passed to literally not only take away our civil liberties, but to bring us to destruction as a people, as a nation that is within the United Shenanigans. And there is this place right here is this place has a dark cloud literally above it. And they're making it so through the chemtrails, through now these chemical particles that are going into the air, into the land. It's a big shit show. It's a big stage. Yep. So be aware and prepared, brothers and sisters. Any last final comments for today's episode before I go into, I'm going to play a song by brother Yafi and take one called Better Things.
One last thing. I'm just wondering where all the climate change activists and environmental activists are. They're
nowhere to be found.
Yeah, all of a sudden, totally silent, like they were told not to say anything. So
right.
Just makes you wonder if they're controlled as well. And with that, I just want to give all praises to the Most High through Christ for giving us the opportunity to come out and put it out to the world, bro.
Absolutely. All praises, brother. Thank you for coming on and and being a contributor to the network of awareness. And with that being said, brothers and sisters, I'm going to play a song called Better Things by Brother Take One and Yafi. But before I do that, I just want to say, when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning, brothers and sisters. Always. Through the grace of the Most High, Yahweh Elohim, the Heavenly Father, and His Son, Christ, Yahweh Shad, preeminent one. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, brothers and sisters. Don't waste your time doing that. Because why? Because we was created in the image of the Most High. So that light is within you. So since that light is within you, light up that tunnel that's really dark right now. That tunnel that you're traveling through, that path that you're on that seems dark, light it up so that you can find your way through the darkness, so you continue on this path, on this faith, on this journey to salvation. Because the only salvation is the Most High in Christ. The only salvation is that which always has been and always will continue to be, and that is everlasting. Don't get comfortable in this world, because this world is not ours and it's not our permanent place of stay. It is temporary. So be aware and prepared. Peace, love, and light, brothers and sisters. Barakatah and Shalom. Let's get into some music here.
Shalom.
You are now tuned in to the network of awareness.
Hold on, be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim, on King of Kings, who fills my life with better things.
My brother, keep fighting daily. The world is mighty shady, it isn't just kinda crazy. Amazing, we still here because Abba has shed his mercy. Messiah shed his blood for us even though we ain't worthy. But the mercy, I gotta reiterate for the second time, cause if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be alive. We all been brought at a price, we should be shouting for Christ. You're the way, you're the truth, and you're the life. What would I do without you? This world, it makes me sick, but there you are to comfort me through it all. My medicine. Don't get worried or get discouraged, it's in the plan. The day will come when we won't be under curses of man. But for now, it's daily practice, dashing for that penny. The enemy's looking fast to snatch it, that's a massive win. He's laughing, grinning, racking many. I pray you don't lose it. It's the season, bigger demons. I pray that you slash your many.
Don't be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim, on King of Kings, who fills my life with better
Father,
things.
teach me your way so I can walk in your truth. Unite my heart to feel your name, been led astray since the youth. I never thought I'd see the day I make a change, so it's proof that your spirit alive and well. I love the food it produce, a living testimony. I lean on Messiah when my feet get tired. Where is words in my heart, not on my attire. This real cold, bundle up or you might expire. Learned how to trust in Elohim when my vision cloudy. I know he got me, weight get heavy, he spot me. Give me strength and endurance, his word be my assurance. Don't stop walking, keep your head up. It might get tough to be strong, never give up. We at the end, it's wartime till the day is stopped. Draw your sword for the battle, can't have no souls lost. Look, we gon' keep the faith, he gon' go before us. I pray he order our steps so we can stay the course. Yeah.
Hold on, be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim, on King of Kings, who fills my life with better things.